Alrighty then, it's time for the season finale. Let's see what we've got here. Well then... Nope, that wasn't quite right. Let's try this again. There we go, that's more like it. In short, this episode was everything I was afraid it was going to be. Now here's a little bit of trivia about myself. While I was setting up this channel, I almost called myself the unpopular opinion guy, because I tend to notice a lot of things that are different or contradictory to what most people in general seem to think, and bronies were no exception to this. So how is it that we've gone through most of Season 2 and 3 with me hearing about how this and that could have been done better when there was really nothing wrong with it, and most complaints I heard can either be chalked up to subtleties or genre discrepancies versus personal taste, or people not paying close enough attention because they were too busy nitpicking, and then this happens and everywhere I look, people are loving the heck out of it while I'm just sitting here wondering what on God's green earth just happened. Now, most of the people who don't like it say that it was either for the pacing or the fact that it was mostly musical or some odd combination. And I can agree with these gripes to an extent. The pacing was extremely fast and a lot of it was done through music. But I can forgive these things. They can be made to work, and gosh darn it, did they almost work. As for the songs, either I've acquired a taste for them or they've just gotten so much better as the 3 seasons have progressed, because I liked almost all of the songs in this episode. Heck, this is the first time I found Rainbow Dash's singing voice not only tolerable, but actually enjoyable. But this is not what bothered me, and these things are not what I was afraid of while I was going into the episode. What I was afraid of was the fact that they were going to introduce 2 new premises into a one-part episode. And I had predicted to those who I had talked to about it beforehand that they would cram all of this information into that small time frame and leave everything else inadequately explained if they had bothered to explain it at all. Here's a couple of questions I had through the episode that never got answered. The first being, what was Star Swirl the bearded spell supposed to do in the first place? Now these next 2 questions could probably be deciphered at least through headcanon if the first question had ever been answered. These being, what did it matter how well he understood friendship, and what was the consequence of the spell to the rest of Equestria? Then here's some other questions. How exactly did Twilight come to understand how to complete the spell? We're never shown how, we're just very suddenly told how. I couldn't even pick out any subtle hints as to how she figured it out, no clues at all, it just popped into her head. What was the purpose of the spell once it was completed? What purpose did it serve? Why does this qualify her to become a princess? What is she a princess of? What does being a princess entail? Is she immortal now? Is she more powerful now? These are all things that should have been answered, or at least explained ahead of time. What we were told ahead of time is that the writers were setting up a lore for all of this to make sense, and this was not delivered at all. So it really makes me wonder whose idea was all of this and why. Now the only hope that I can have for this episode is that the 4th season will take the 26 episodes that it has to explain what the heck just happened, as I have absolutely no clue. Unless there really is something that I'm missing here. Which, if this is the case, someone please explain it to me, as I don't like being confused like this. My brain and my ability to think clearly are all I have left in this world. Now, as a concept, I am against Princess Twilight. No matter the justifications that the writers have tried to tell us, this does in fact change the dynamic of the group and the balance from both a physical standpoint as well as a characterization standpoint, because now instead of having each of the main characters on an equal plane where they can complement each other, one has been risen above all of them. That, and with the few things that we know about alicorns, it could imply all sorts of things that just don't work. All of that aside, and to completely contradict what I just said, this could still work. But there are so very few ways that it could be done properly. One of them is that it shouldn't have happened this early on in the series, as this came right out of left field and only in the 3rd season. If they had taken another season to build this up, explain everything about it, explain everything about the princesses, the alicorns, the spell book, history, everything, then it might have worked. And maybe they'll still do that. Or at least, I'm really hoping they'll still do that. Now, the other way that this episode could be made to work is actually much simpler, and I kinda hope that they go with this one instead. Make Princess Twilight temporary. Now, as a writer, I could come up with ways that this could be believable all day, but I'm not going to do it here, and that's really all I have to say about it. This episode goes in the stack of the very few episodes of the whole series thus far that I actually don't like. The amount of questions I had that didn't get answered, in addition to the introduction of the concepts that I'm against, sent me into a nerd rage for the first time in my entire life. And by the way, to those who were there to experience that, I apologize. I probably should have done a lot better job at keeping my cool. Which says a lot for the show, actually. I've never cared this much about a cartoon before, and someday I'll explain why Friendship is Magic is such an exception for me. But not here, as this is an episode review, albeit much shorter than my other episode reviews. But I told you all that so I could tell you this. I haven't lost faith yet. They ended this season on a very open note, and I actually can't wait to see more just to find out what happens and to see if they can make this work. That being said, let's go forth into the 4th season. If you have a topic on bronies, ponies, news, or anything in general that you would like to hear discussed, or if you have an episode, fanfiction, product, or anything else you would like to hear reviewed, send me a YouTube message or leave a comment below. You can also drop comments, questions, topic suggestions, and review suggestions by liking Brony Debates on Facebook, following on Twitter, or sending an email to bronydebates@yahoo.com. Have a great day, and I look forward to speaking with all of you soon.